Right, we're back with Mr. Paul Wallace, trading coach for Trading Beliefs and a former fighter pilot. Is that right?
Well, I'm ex-Air Force. I wouldn't exactly say I was a fighter pilot, although I did get the chance to fly.
You look like a fighter pilot.
Maybe just aggressive and cocky. That's probably where that comes from. But my father was, as was my grandfather. So it's a bit of a. I was third generation Air Force in my family. So the reason I wear my T-shirt is my father had a heart attack last week, and he's in hospital. He came out of hospital last night, so he'll probably be sat up in bed watching it this morning. So he used to fly Lightning. So I said I would stick it on.
Right, so was that in the 60s, 70s?
Yeah, it was in the 60s and the late 60s and such. So
fantastic.
There you go. More exciting than looking at fundamental analysis, I'll grant you.
Well,
there you go.
Come down out of the skies now and look at the passenger ejector seat. Right, so let's look at the first slide then.
Well, what I wanted to talk about is that, and it kind of links into that really, is most people are aware of physical stop losses. Okay, there's a point in a trade or an investment where you know you're wrong and you want to get out. But what I'm actually very big on trying to get people to understand is there's also what you term like a psychological stop loss. There are time and place when you're not in 100% to be able to sort of trade and invest in a smart way. And the best thing you can actually do is to stop. So, and I call them like common sense X's, but the reality is that it might be common sense, but I find and I see and I hear plenty of people just not experiencing or not following what you would think, would be common sense. So for example, things like, when I speak with traders, and having things like, a child is born or a significant person dies, the best thing they can actually do is to shut up shop and basically just take their hands off. So last week when my father ended up in hospital, basically, the hands come off. Okay, there's no trades, there's nothing, because invariably what will happen is that if you're trying to use trading as a means to distract yourself from a rather large emotional event going on, it's actually gonna end up going horribly wrong, and invariably your equity curve is gonna collapse like a Liverpool Premier League challenge. That's the way.
Well, saying that, my father had a heart bypass and he was trading from the hospital with his laptop and everything else. So I don't know. Sometimes it works. Did okay, actually. So maybe it's the person who's involved, the person with the heart attack. It's all right for them to trade, but the people around them shouldn't be doing anything.
Maybe
I think it's difficult. I've grew up on a trading floor environment for over 20 years, and it's very easy when you're in front of a screen and everybody around you is in front of a screen, just to get completely sucked in. And you're thinking, well, if I just look at the screen for another minute, another 2 minutes, another 5 minutes, have I missed lunch? You'll see the answer and the scales are going to fall from your eyes and it's all going to become clear. And sometimes you just have to give yourself a time out, go for a breather and
absolutely,
whatever.
Absolutely. If that there was that great quote from Ed Coates, that everybody gets what they want from the markets, and if you're going through an emotional roller coaster, if you're looking for distraction, if you're looking for validation, you'll get all of those things, but you may not get profits with it. Okay, so that's what. So I kind of talk about these, and kind of the next slide. There's a few just linked into that. Okay, in terms of if you're going through divorce or separation, or if you've been up all night having an argument with your partner, sitting down next morning to try and intraday trade.
You'd never have any time to trade at all, would you?
Well, that's
priorities.
That's an
once
insight.
A month you'd be trading.
That's an insight into relationship dynamics that are probably above and beyond this little slot. But it's absolutely true. If you've spent all night, arguing with your partner, trying to sit down and trying to trade with a clear head next morning, if you're an intraday trader, it ain't going to work. Okay, and the same when you're going through divorce or separation. Okay, just go hands off. Okay, just give yourself a chance. All right, and I think the next, even things like moving home or office. All right. Very often I'll hear people say, "Oh, well, I move my office, but I've got my iPad. I can still trade through it." Okay, and the advice I give them is just don't do it. All right, just take out a 2-week break and just get yourself sorted. Okay, you'll be amazed at the impact such an event can have upon you. Okay, and we like to think that we sort of trade in a bubble. Okay, that we trade in isolation, but the reality is we don't. And I think there's maybe one or two, and if you're feeling, exhausted or burnt out, invariably what I have found is once people stop following their rules, okay, that's a sign that they're burnt out or psychologically exhausted. Or another thing is if they stop keeping their records, if they've been very good at keeping records of the trades and they just stop keeping them, that's another good sign that actually they're burnt out, they're exhausted, and they actually, they should basically, that's the market is communicating to them in a way there. And what did I put? Yeah, when you're on holiday, go on holiday. I know it sounds simple, but with the technology we have today, it becomes very easy to think that we're constantly communicating.
Let's get the guy on the beach.
Well, I've done it. I've traded off beaches in Seychelles and stuff, and it is lovely, okay. But the reality is, when you're on holiday, go on holiday, okay. And when you're taking a business trip or you're moving, I know we have the technology that allows us to do that, but just because we have the technology doesn't actually mean it's the right thing.
Does that mean, obviously it depends on your strategy, I mean, you should probably closing out positions because you're on holiday, so that when you go on holiday, you are actually on holiday.
Exactly.
As opposed to have that and see, I wonder how that's positions doing.
Exactly. I talk about one of my own personal experiences a few years back that I had a position in dollar yen. I was the last part of it was to run, okay, and I basically thought, I'm going away into the Highlands of Scotland for a week. It'll be fine. It's the last part of the trade. Let it run. No bother whatsoever. And then on the Sunday night, the Monday morning, the North Koreans tested one of their nuclear weapons, and of course, the yen just went mad, of course. And I was in the Highlands of Scotland, with no ability to effectively to do anything about it. We're not a care in the world, exactly. And the reality is, I should have closed that position and just gone on holiday. Okay, whatever you do it well. Okay, and trying to multitask is a pointless endeavor. So, and I think hopefully that's kind of, if people might say, well, who's this guy coming to talk about it? But actually, if you're not going to listen to me, at least listen to Paul Tudor-Jones. He knows what he's on about. So
second mention today.
Indeed.
Is he the second mention today?
Yes, exactly. The man's a hero.
Well, he's he has he's kind of my professional crush. Both called Paul. We both share the same birthday, 28th September.
You look kind of similar as well, don't you?
Well, you're being very kind to me there, Zach. You're being very kind to me. Well, I'm kind to Paul, yeah.
Sorry, Paul.
But it's true, and as what he says there, I'm sure the people can read that. But it is true, okay. You are going to have these emotional highs and lows and that roller coaster, and invariably, it's about how you manage that actually will help you be that long-term success that you want to be as a trader investor. And I think my last slide was literally just, it's if people want to talk about it, the London Traders Network is this evening, and it's literally just a social beer call for traders to come and have.
I know it well.
You know it well, indeed, Zach.
Yes,
you know it well.
People, come up to me, shake me by the hand, buy me a drink. It's just wonderful. It's really, really good. It's like a lap of honour, really.
Well, you're an A-list celebrity in the finance world.
Just tell them I'm on Tip TV, and they're just literally giving me a hug.
That's it. What more can a man ask for?
So is there any apart from that? Is there any? These events, is there a serious side to them, or is it just literally bonding and war stories, etc.?
To be fair, these events, 6 of them a year, okay, and it is literally what you see is what you get, okay. Get out from behind the screen, come and actually have a beer and a chat with people. And there's everyone from people just starting to guys running, $200 million books at banks and stuff, okay. It's the whole spread. They're all joined by actually loving trading and investing, and it's just a chance to get out and share a few war stories, okay. And that's
and gaining different views and perspectives is how people grow professionally.
Exactly. If I go into a room of 100 people and ask, who's selling, dollar, and every hand goes up in the room, I'm probably going to go out next morning and buy it.
Exactly.
That's the way we operate. So
right, Paul Wallace, trading coach for Trading Beliefs. Thanks for coming in today, and get well soon to your father.
That's very
kind. Hope he's watching, and hope he was impressed with your performance today.
Well, I would hope so.
We'll be back after the break.